Police officers meeting in a 3-day conclave on Grand Bahama. The Defense Force Rangers getting a big donation. And Christians celebrating the launch of Holy Week.
The Bahamas Tonight Northern Edition starts now.
This is the Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition. Good evening all. I'm Megan Shepard. Thank you so much for tuning in. Topping news, officials from Interpol are on Grand Bahama conducting a 4-day conference at the Gerald Bartlett Police Headquarters. Interpol's mission is to connect police with other stakeholders for a safer world. Sabrina Brown tells us tonight that this week's conference is dubbed Project Stone.
Project Stone is bringing together officers from various law enforcement agencies around the country to ensure that they are equipped with the skills and tools necessary to detect and prevent the illicit trafficking of nuclear elements that cross international borders. Specialized officer with Interpol, John Buchanan.
It provides the support for the customs, for the immigration, for the container control programs, for the programs that Jen Wadlow is working on, and it's connecting police. That is what Project Stone is trying to do. It's bringing all the necessary stakeholders into the room to build the relationships, to build a network of contacts.
He says authorities must stay ahead of emerging trends.
15 years ago, I began to work on strategy and tactics for a marauding terrorist firearms attack. And at that time, that was what was the thinking. This is what was happening. This is what was going to happen. At that time, we would never have dreamt that a terrorist, a radicalized individual, would jump in a truck and drive into a busy street and kill people with the truck. Never have thought of that at all. We need to keep ahead of what the emerging trends are.
Buchanan told law enforcement officers that they all have a responsibility when it comes to the issue of smuggling.
Whether that's the illicit smuggling of firearms, drugs, people, goods, cigarettes, we are all here because we have a responsibility for that in our own day jobs. What we are doing in the previous course and what we're doing in this course is we're just adding another element to this. We're just adding, consider the illicit smuggling of radiological nuclear material. Nothing different. A smuggler is a smuggler. They'll use the same routes, they'll use the same contacts, they'll use the same methods. We just now need to look for another thing to consider, and that's the responsibility that we are giving you at the end of this week.
Sabrina Brown, ZNS Network News.
A second female involved in that traffic mishap in Abaco on Saturday afternoon has died, and a third is said to be fighting for her life in hospital as police continue their investigations into the fatal crash. The 3 women were passengers in a gray Honda Fit, which apparently crashed into a tree on the SC Boodle Highway shortly after 5 p.m. on Saturday. The driver of that vehicle was pronounced dead at the scene. The other 2 occupants were airlifted to the capital, and the second victim died at the Princess Margaret Hospital Sunday morning, while the third female is reportedly listed in serious condition. In other news, the University of the Bahamas announcing its plan to host a conference focused on the economic prospects of Grand Bahama. The Sustainable Grand Bahama Conference is expected to encourage the public and private sector leaders to engage in a dialogue about the way forward for Grand Bahama. Vice President of UB North, Dr. Ian Strawn, says the aim of this conference is to explore the matter of this island's sustainable development holistically.
One of the most common criticisms I hear of the university is that we are simply not pulling our weight when it comes to joining critical national conversations about economic, social, and educational policy. The Sustainable Grand Bahama Conference is an example of what we can do to promote thought leadership in the country. Grand Bahama is poised for transformation. The government is intensely focused on it, and UB wants to help in whatever ways it can to ensure the future is a very, very bright one for Grand Bahamians and the country at large.
President and COO David McGregor from the Grand Bahama Power Company says that they are proud to come on board as a gold sponsor for the event. The Grand Bahama Chamber of Commerce is a partner in the upcoming conference as well.
The conference theme, Breaking Down Barriers and Shaping the Future, truly resonates with us at Grand Bahama Power. We know as the utility, we have a vital role in helping shape the growth and sustainable growth future for Grand Bahama Island.
I want to thank Dr. Strawn and UB for the invitation to participate as a member of the steering committee. We at the Grand Bahama Chamber of Commerce, we're always very cognizant of what's happening in our community, and we're especially proud of UB in this initiative that you've taken. We enjoy and encourage dialogue between stakeholders and the people, and you have provided a platform for this kind of engagement.
Now, the Sustainable Grand Bahama Conference is slated for April 5th and the 6th. This past Sunday, Christians around the world celebrated Palm Sunday, which marks the beginning of Holy Week and commemorates the triumphant arrival of Jesus Christ in Jerusalem, days before he was crucified. Our ZNS News team visited Christ the King Anglican Church for the occasion. Parishioners of Christ the King Church receiving their palm fronds to be used in the traditional reenactment of Jesus' arrival in Jerusalem. Parishioners taking a short march from the youth hall to the main sanctuary. During this Sunday, there was no sermon, but rather a reading of the Passion of the Christ, the story of Jesus' Last Supper with his disciples, and his journey to the cross.
Pilate spoke to them again.
Then what do you wish me to do with the man you call the King of the Jews?
The crowd shouted back, "Crucify him." Pilate asked them,
Why? What evil has he done?
but they shouted all the more, "Crucify him." So Pilate, wishing to satisfy the crowd, released Barabbas for them. And after flogging Jesus, Pilate handed him over to be crucified.
And before we go to break tonight, we have our first trivia question of the week. Simply go to our Facebook page, and the first person to answer all parts of the question wins 3 tickets to the Carifta Games to be held this weekend. Tonight's question is, what year did our Ricardo Lightborn participate in Carifta? What was his sport? And what position did he place or medal did he win? Our Facebook page is ZNS Bahamas Northern Service. Stay with us. The Bahamas Tonight Northern Edition continues in just a moment.